Hi Leo, how are you? This is JJ and welcome back to my channel. For all my new subscribers, thank you very much for joining me here. This is going to be your March 2017 forecast. So Leo, what's in store for you? Not much shuffling required for these cards popped up, but I've been quiet for a while thinking about your sign, thinking about everything that happened in February and trying to see how we can relate that all into March, because I think that it's important for us to establish a relationship between months to see how things tie in together. Sometimes I have a harder time doing this because it's not very easy for me to discern between every sign, and I struggle to grasp the differences. But most importantly, Leo, February was a tough month for many of us. You're no exception, of course. It was a month spent exerting a lot of energy trying to figure out how you needed to change a few things and make new arrangements with housing, jobs, even some relationships where you kind of like even cut yourself off from various people who weren't helping you. Emotionally speaking, we're not there for you on an emotional level. So you also may have just spent most of the month concerned with practical things. But anyway, now we want to let's discuss March. March, there's quite a bit happening in terms of Venus being retrograde and how this affects each person differently. For you, how Venus is going to affect you being retrograde is it's mostly going to influence your career. So it falls in your house of career, and this means that you will be prompted to reevaluate things in relation to your job, things in relation to your industry. And I wouldn't be surprised then if some of you are figuring out whether or not you've even entered the right job, if you chose the right industry to begin with, and which will be quite shocking for people around you as well, who've always viewed you as someone extremely passionate with what they do, passionate about their jobs. And that is especially the case if you hold a very creative position in music, direction, production, photography, writing, because usually such positions require passion, require internal motivation for us to be considered success stories in these fields. So Leos who know it within themselves that like they are meant to be a musician, for example, don't have a problem being what we call a struggling artist at all, because to you, being genuine with yourself and authentic and really listening to how it is that you can contribute to your community through art and visualization and giving something back that way. Do you see what I'm talking about here? That is what is fulfilling for you. If you do not come from a wealthy family, for example, and therefore giving money to charity might be out of the question, you try to find other ways that you can have a positive influence on society and your community. So Painting a mural, for example, is one way you can touch the lives of others if you connect with them on the level of art. Composing a beautiful piece of orchestra and making people feel something when they listen to your music or look through your photography is another way you feel like you could possibly contribute as well. So, ooh, quite a lot of cards here. Just gonna put them back. Kiss. A bit too many. But recently, you've been challenging yourself and even coming into conflict with your own passions that way. That's how I'm viewing this card here. And coming into conflict with general perceptions and stereotypes as well of what it is that you do, because you may find that you have a problem with not really being able to truly express yourself the way you would want to in your field because of certain bosses or society you live in coming against you some way, that way, where let's say you want to play certain music, okay, but the record label or production house that you're working for doesn't want you to get involved with a particular genre that you feel a close relation to. And you're like, but this is not the reason why I entered production. This is not the reason why I'm making music. I'm making music because I want to be real and authentic to myself. I'm a rock artist, and now you're telling me to become a pop artist, for example. You know, these are just all hypotheticals. But the problem is that you're coming at odds with people who are bigger fish than you. You might be dealing with people that are the hand that feed. So it's wise that you watch the way that you communicate this month. You'll find that if you communicate in a loving manner, then you will find more rewards to reap in your career. And this is relating back to Venus being retrograde in your career section. We need to try to spin the retrograde in your favor. I am shuffling a lot, you guys, and the cards are not popping out. Anyway, I'll drop the screen in the meanwhile so that you see what's already come out, and I will continue to shuffle, and I'll discuss the cards that I see on the table as well. So moving on from this Seven of Wands, which to me is talking about competing with yourself and an inner conflict as well between wanting what you want and coming at odds with those who are telling you can't have it your way, to then kind of giving in. You're like throwing in the towel, saying, okay, at the end of the day, if all of these arguments are not going to take me where I need to go and aren't really providing me with a solution, then I'm just going to turn to the Nine of Swords here and beat myself up on a mental level, because that's pretty much all I can do about this now. Being outward about it doesn't seem to be helping, so I'm going to go inwards, and then we go into the hermit, basically, of trying to find enlightenment within ourselves and trying to find some level of comfort by, for once just dealing with this dissatisfaction that way. But you use the hermit here to your favor in order to reevaluate things again. So it doesn't have to be a bad thing at all. Retrogrades are all about going within. Retrogrades are all about focusing on making the best out of situations that you can't necessarily change because they've already occurred, because they've already been happening for a while. And when things have been processing for a while, well, you can't exactly go back in history. You can't exactly rewind and change those events. At least not right now, not while not while Venus is retrograde all the way until April 15th. I wouldn't be surprised then if you feel a little bit like this with this Four of Cups here, just completely discontent with the tasks that you're being asked to complete on a day-to-day basis here, where nothing seems to be enough. But what's funny about this, okay, especially in relation to this Nine of Swords, is that it takes quite a while to get to enter this state. So as in, you must have already been anxious and tormenting yourself quite a bit before reaching this Nine of Swords situation here. And I feel like this anxiety is directly related to the fact that you may have already been struggling in your field to begin with. You may have already been facing problems at work, or you may have been let go and worked pretty hard, let's say in February and January, to kind of get your foot through the door again and find a job. And then the moment you find this job, it ends up disappointing you. And so then you take this grand leap into the Nine of Swords to reflect this disappointment. And in that sense, then it makes you look like you're sort of, how do I put this? I don't want to bother anyone, but it kind of makes you look a bit greedy and ungrateful for what's come your way. But this is a temporary thing, I'm not saying that you take on this energy for too long. Things begin to pick up the pace much faster after this Four of Cups here, with when we have the Eight of Wands. We're talking about a lot of support and love and coming your way in the form of messages, and it can be in the form of emails, text messages, long distance communication that kind of makes you feel better. And then once you are, feeling more like yourself, that's when you feel like, okay, you can make the best out of the situation once again and start to give. Like this, what I was talking about before I laid out the cards, your ability to give back to the community doesn't necessarily have to come in the form of actual money or finance. We're not all capable of doing this, right? But to give back in the form of love and creativity and expression and being helpful this way, sharing your advice and your experience with the people around you, is another form of how you can help those. And that is where you find success. That is where you can start to feel victorious. That's where people really appreciate you. Okay? And when you have all these things on your side, when you regain your confidence back, and when you regain your power back, saying, you know what, okay, fine. You want me to play pop music? God damn it, fine, I will. You convince yourself to like it. You convince yourself to like it. It's like, well, I've got no other way of doing this. And that's what this Chariot card can be talking about here. That's for the portion of you guys who are watching who are able to deal with this Venus retrograde in a constructive manner. There is a portion of you whom, unfortunately, will decide to take an alternative route, which doesn't have to, be equal to the complete opposite of being constructive. So I don't mean you are necessarily being destructive, but whereby we literally translate this Chariot card into one that is emphasizing real motion and departure away from the situation. So for those of you who don't decide to bounce, in other words, with this Chariot card being constructive during this Venus retrograde period, is our ability to turn these shortcomings into obstacles that we can overcome. It's just finding a creative way of overcoming our obstacles. Do you kind of see what I'm saying here, Leo? And with this Three of Cups down here, there is cause for celebration, apparently, or at least, you you take a break from all this nagging and all this thinking and all this self-imposed, oh, none of this is enough, none of this is what I want, to, okay, yeah, like, might as well just have some fun now. So if you are a Leo sun, moon, or rising, you are all equally going to be affected by this transit. And why I say this, like, I don't usually say something like that, but I'm saying this because when we're talking about Venus, we're talking about wanting to come into harmony and peace, and ergo, we're also discussing love here with Venus, even though Venus doesn't necessarily have to be all about love. But Venus is pretty much, like, it's honest, at least stereotypically, is associated with love. So I kind of lost my trail of thought there. Oh, I'm so sorry. Right, so, okay. So all lovey-dovey stuff. And Venus happens to be retrograde in your house of career, so therefore approaching things with love will push things in the right direction for you in career. And if not, then you're just going to feel really disappointed in this sector this month if you don't make the right decisions to just go with the flow of this retrograde, which is just asking you to re-examine whether or not what you're doing in life is good for you. Like, is this the job that you want? Is this the industry that you're really excited about? Or should you consider a change of career? Should you consider a change of department, etc., so on and so forth? Right? So if you have a Leo moon, and when you have a Leo moon, we're really talking about emotions. You're gonna feel this really, really strongly. You're gonna feel extremely emotional about your career this month. Truly, like, to the point of tears, where you're just like. And I have to quote a friend. I have to quote a friend. Okay, a friend of mine went off on a tangent the other day publicly on social media because he is a DJ. And he's one of those DJs, like, he's a very unique DJ that, like, kind of doesn't just sample music or anything like that, but, like, really creates his own tracks from scratch. And his style is rather eclectic, but it's dark at the same time. Now, we don't have to go into genres or anything, but, his style is his own. And so when he is asked to DJ, of course, naturally he would want to promote his own music. Now, to just cut things down in a nutshell, I feel like I'm talking to no one, so I'm raising the screen. Was recently asked at an event or at a party, by a couple of young girls, just walk up to his DJ booth and say, "Hey dude, can you play some Shakira?" And he's just like, "You've got to be kidding, right?" But it affected him. It got to him. It got to him to the point where he felt the need to actually rant about how, like, the difference of how he felt when he first entered this, like, the scene and decided to become a DJ and spread his love for music with the world. When he first entered the scene as a DJ, and then when he started to compose music, and how enthusiastic he was, to things getting quite serious, where he's just like, all right, I can't just do this for fun now. Like, I will always do this for fun, but I need a means of income. And so I'm going to have to find a job that's going to pay for me to do this. But I also want to be true and loyal to the kind of music that I play. I don't want to be categorized now as, like, I don't know, a pop artist, or a pop DJ, or an R&B DJ, or whatever it is, right? So he's just like, I can't believe this. Like, 5 years ago, I would have never stooped to that level of playing Shakira. And no disrespect to Shakira, she's awesome, right? And no disrespect to her fans. But, like, for him, it was just like, 5 years ago you asked to play Shakira, I'd be like, hell no, please leave, this is my party, I'm playing my music. But now, I can't argue where you ask me to play Shakira, I have to play this crowd pleaser because it's a crowd pleaser and you're part of the crowd and I'm just doing my job. So it got pretty emotional for him. And he's usually a very strong person, you know, who doesn't like to show his feelings, especially on that level. So this is just one example. And so that is a Leo sun friend. Now for Leo moons, you're really going to feel like the emotional side come out a lot stronger. And now for Leo rising, the whole idea behind your ascendant and rising is that it's usually a very good indication of, you know, how you come off to the world. And because Leo is a very passionate, exuberant sign that's also can be artsy at the same time, this combination, this aspect of like Venus involving your career and love and career being almost interchangeable this month in terms of like the give and take of emotion is also going to be excuse me, expressed quite strongly this month among Leo rising people, which is very interesting. You know, it's not always the case, but this is the feeling that I'm getting. So with this Hierophant, you know, what we have to realize is that it is what it is. It is what it is. And sometimes we just have to do things we're not so keen of. This doesn't have to at all diminish your power to be passionate about what it is that you do. Again, depending on how you decide to use the energy that is behind this Chariot card. You either call it quits and you leave and you move on to something that is more up to par with you, with your standards, or you decide to spin things in to your advantage. You try to convince yourself like, this is okay. I can find a reason why this is fine. And I'm sure I'll get over it. And I'm sure I can be creative with it later. You know what I mean? It's like choosing with this Chariot to either view the cup as half full or half empty. Ah, cool. I like this combination here with the Chariot and the Page of Pentacles falling right beneath it with the expression that I just shared now, that the glass, according, you know, depending on your preference and your mood, can either be categorized as half full or half empty, depending on how it is that you look at things. And what's funny is that I'm getting this feeling of that, like, if you are usually the person who views the glass as half full, you might be more inclined to see it as half empty this month. And vice versa, if you see the glass as half empty usually, this is the month where you put an end to that kind of like negative thinking and you're like, you know what, no, it's half full. It's half full. And that's kind of what we mean here with this Page of Pentacles. That also tells me, well, to me, you know, the Page of Pentacles is just another way of studying a situation, another way of applying your knowledge to a new novel situation, actually, and learning how to deal with it, learning how to put it back together again in a way that makes more sense, in a way that doesn't leave you feeling like every choice in front of you is inadequate. So in a nutshell, you know, you may start off this month feeling quite down, and this is energy coming in also from February, from everything experienced from February, where you're not so optimistic, and then things start to get better for you around mid-month. Like, it should start to ease up after the second week, basically. Leo. Let's see what happens. I have a Leo moon, so yeah. Can you tell I'm a little bit stressed as well? But it's gonna be okay, you know. Okay guys, well, thank you so much for your attention. Please do like this video, share it with those who you feel can also benefit from watching my videos. I'd be super glad for that. If you have any inquiries, questions, or you just want to leave a friendly comment, feel free to do so. I want to kind of also apologize to all those who write comments and then their comments just disappear. I swear it's not me. Like, if you are not writing a negative comment, a really negative comment, I have no reason to remove it. I just want you to know that. YouTube has been a bit strange recently and has been flagging comments as spam or just holding them for review. But a few months ago, for some reason, the right that we as creators usually had to correct this, like for comments held in review, we could usually bring them back to our pages. That kind of got revoked. So there's nothing I can do about this. And there have been a lot of sweet comments, unfortunately, from like my most loyal viewers as well. So this is freaking killing me. Like, I love these viewers. These viewers are always the ones, like the first ones to leave amazing comments for me. They're just being flagged as spam and held in review, and I'm just like, that's horrible, YouTube. Why would you do this? So I'm really sorry if this has happened to you recently, and that therefore means that I haven't been able to reply to your comment either. When I get the opportunity to, and if I can reach out in another way to express my thanks, then I will. Otherwise, thank you guys so much. Another small, tiny thing I want to say, small announcement, is that I just activated the option for me to place advertisements on this channel. And I know, like, okay, we're not huge fans of advertisements, all of us, but it's just more of it's a way to keep this channel thriving as well for me. It's a way for me to kind of make up for the decrements that happen from PayPal whenever someone has a private reading with me, which thank you so much if you do get one. PayPal takes a small commission. This commission adds up in time, so these ads hopefully in time will help me recoup with those losses here and there. And, you know, as always, I'm extremely thankful for all the encouragement I've been receiving. I'm extremely thankful for having this platform and this ability to share these videos with you and to help in any way that I possibly can through these very odd ways, this odd way of sharing therapy. So Leo, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you in April.